video, we're going to be going through how to look up a book in the Collier County Public School Library Catalog. I'll be sending out this email that has a bunch of links. For this video, we're just going to be looking at this first link here. So you can open up your email and click on the top one here, Destiny Discover. Now when I click on it, it knows where I want to go because I've used it so much. So but when you open it up, it's probably going to look something like this. So what you'll do is you'll choose Florida, and then normally this will be blank here. You can type in Collier and then choose the one that comes up. And then I believe you can type in any school you want. I always just use Barron for some reason. But you just click on that. And when we actually do our searches for the books, it will default to this school, but there is a way to search for all the schools at the same time, even though this is your default. Once we're in, there's a couple different ways you can search. You can search right from this. There are some search options here. This is where you would want to change Barron to just Collier County Public School Media Centers, and that will cover everything. And then you can enter your book name. Actually, I'm just going to put a few words in here. And then you can search. And this will bring up, so we just did a keyword search. But you can do author, title, subject, or just keywords. So I know that the books that start with A Court of, those are usually really bad. They're by Sarah J. Maas. So that's one way to search, but I'm going to show you the way I actually prefer. So you go up here to back office and then power. And then here I would put in title. And if you want to, if you know the author, like if you want to search for all of Sarah J. Maas's books, you could put in her name. Sometimes when I do a search for title, it'll bring up more titles than I want. Like I usually know the author that I want, and if it's bringing up other books that are not the author that I want, then I'll come back to this page and add the author. Well, you could even just put in Sarah. Like, and I put and. Or I guess just this and is the one that counts. Okay, and then always double check your school. So we want it to check all schools, at least for this search. You can search, obviously, individual schools, but you would have to go back to that first login page and change your default school. And then we hit search, and then this comes up with a list instead of the tiles. So then what you're going to do is we look over here. This one has no local copies, so that's good. This one says no local copies. That means, again, it's looking at Barron because that was my default, but it does say that there are books in other schools. So before I click on that, I also want to point out these two look the same, but they're actually different publishing dates. So you have to actually, if you're looking into these, each one of these, you have to go into each one to see what schools they're in, because they are considered different. So if I go in here, they have these tabs here. So this one in particular is the copies. So this title is at Golden Gate High School. It says the status is available, which means it can be checked out. So up here it says Barron has none, because that was my default search. And then these are the offsite copies. And then you can also click on these other tabs, which sometimes have some useful information. The title details, I like this because it does tend to say in here things like, that's tag words like queer or racism or gay, lesbian, sex, that kind of stuff. It also has the interest grade level down here, which is sometimes interesting to see too. So we can either go back to our search results, or we can actually use these arrows, which will click us through all of the books that it had listed. So this goes into the next title. And I'm going to click back over here on copies so I can see the schools. So this one's in Golden Gate and Immokalee. I find a lot of the books are in Golden Gate and Immokalee, even if they're on the list of books that Collier County has supposedly removed. And I have been sending those to Melanie Fike to get those checked on. So, and again, you can keep going through these and just seeing all the places. So again, each of these is different. It's a different barcode. So there's a lot in Golden Gate, and there's, well, one was in Immokalee. This one is lost. So we just have to presume that you kind of have to treat it like they really don't have it, because if you say, oh, you have this one, they'll say, well, actually it's lost. So there is that. So you also have to be careful. So this copy that I was actually looking at, I clicked too far. This went on to something else. This is not a Sarah J. Maas book. This is a Sarah Zettel book. So that is one thing you have to be careful of if you're using these arrows. So if you want to be more careful, you can go back to the search results here. And you can just go, sometimes I like to go to the last one in the list and then work backwards from there to get my list of where the books are at. All right, and then when you're done with that search, don't click your back button, click library search, because otherwise this makes you refresh and it's kind of messy. So this brings you back to your library search. Now, if you want to go see what the first search looked like that we did, you can click on the Destiny Discover, and let's just try that same search here. So again, this is my maybe a little bit less favorite way to do this. So this is searching for keyword, and it's coming up with all kinds of stuff. So that's crummy. Plus, it defaulted to Barron. So I'm going to change this to title, and I'm going to change this to Collier. And then, yeah, see, you can't even put in the author here. So the other search has a lot more options. So we'll search for that. And then when we click on one of these, it looks a little bit different than the other search. So when it brings this up, you click View More Details. And then if you scroll down, it does have the tags in here again. Sometimes these seem a little bit different maybe than the other search, but I could be wrong on that. There have been times when I've seen people say, well, why did they remove that book? It didn't even have anything about lesbians or gay folks or sex or any of that. And if you read the reviews, it will actually literally say right in the middle of it that yes, it does. So sometimes when you're looking for clues, it's interesting to read the review in here. Again, the more info is kind of the same as on the other one. It has the interest level of young adult and the reading level of 5.3. I'm assuming this is, yeah, it's the Lexile. I think it's a ZPN. It doesn't necessarily mean 5th grade. I mean, it does mean 5th grade, 3rd month, I think, but it's just like that's the lowest that you would want to go. Their ranges, this is kind of off topic, sorry, but when a child has a target reading level that they're at, they usually put like a 5.3 to, like, let's say a 9.7. That's a really big range, but that means he's probably a 9th grader, but could read books at the 5.3 level just because they might still be of interest. So I'm surprised that this goes down to a 5, but it says young adult. So it would be interesting to see what young adult is actually classified as. So normally there's another menu option here that says copies. This one doesn't. So that means that this particular publisher's year in this book doesn't have any copies. But just by looking at this one, it's tough to see if you don't know what you're looking for. So again, you can go back for your search results, or you can just use the forward button to go to the next book. So if we scroll down for this one, see it does have the copies, because when we click on that, it will show us again, it is in Golden Gate. And then just like the other search, you can go forward for that one too. And you can click in here. So another search that you might like to do is a keyword. Let's just say queer, and double check that it's at Collier, and then search. So these are all the books that come up that have a tag with the word queer. So there's 55 in CCPS that have that tag. So if we go into one of these, click more details, and you scroll down here, here's all those tags: homosexuality, gays, lesbians, bisexual, transgender, queer theory. So these are ones that you would want to see to make sure they're in high school and not middle school or elementary school. Another search option you can do to see if that tag is in a certain level of schools, you can change this to elementary school libraries and do that search again. And in theory, nothing should come up. According to state statutes, there should be no books that talk about gender. So let's just double check one of these. Yep, this one says it's in Laurel Oak Elementary Media Center. So what I would probably do is just go refresh my memory, make sure that that is the actual law that they are not in compliance of, and then I would go to the list of 300 that Collier County Public Schools has of the 300 books that they removed. This might be one that was on there, but maybe the school, for whatever reason, hasn't updated the Destiny catalog. Otherwise, if that's not the case, then that might be one that I would go look up and understand what exactly is in it. And then I might do an objection form on that. And that will tie us into the next video on how to understand what this book might have in it, look for book reports, and understand the rating number on it.